It's quiet. When the Philadelphia Eagles going to start making moves, start doing things? Man, there's some words you should never say as an Eagle fan. You got to be careful what you wish for with this organization because, man, they know how to be quiet for a day or two, and then all of a sudden the tsunami, the wave comes. You guys probably heard by now, right? Darius Slay has been released by the Philadelphia Eagles. The move seems to indicate a June 1st designation, so 17.5 following June 1st will be coming back to the Philadelphia Eagles' pocket. And with that said, guys, let's go ahead and let's jump into today's topic. What's up, Cerebral Football fans? My name is Steven Hyder. This is Gate City Sports Channel. This is, it's a disappointing outcome to the story here. I really was hoping that the Eagles could find a way of, finding that common ground with Darius Slay, man. I have nothing but good things to say about Darius Slay. I don't think Darius Slay is some bad guy or anything like that. I think he's a 32-year-old outside corner who's still can play at a high level, but, is in that phase of his career to where he's still worth a certain dollar figure, but no one wants to commit long-term to that dollar figure. And, that's a sticky territory to get into. As a matter of fact, I actually had a conversation just before this news broke. I was talking to Keem, a longtime supporter of the channel, someone I enjoy having conversations with, and I actually said the words that I feel like maybe this thing with Darius Slay could take a sideways turn on us. And I wish I could, not put that out there, I guess. I don't think it would have changed anything. I think that the writing was all over the wall, to be quite honest. But, this kind of situation could arise from it. With that said, it sucks for 2023. It really does, because I do think that we tend to be overcritical because, look, we have achieved a great amount of success since 2000. Since the Andy Reid era kicked off in Philadelphia, continuing through Doug Peterson into this Nick Sirianni era of football, we've had a lot of highs. There's been some incredible highs, including the highest of highs in 2017. With that said, man, it's tough, man, because we're hard on our players, man, because there's an expectation to meet here in this city. And I think when they sat down to the negotiating tables and they were trying to construct the roster, I think they definitely wanted to have, Darius Slay on one side. They wanted to have James Bradbury on the other side. They would love to have CJ Gardner-Johnson back, kind of playing that free base role that he plays as the safety here. But I think the issue is that, Darius Slay probably wanted 24 and 25 seasons guaranteed on the contract. And I'm guessing that the way the Eagles were looking at it is 32, 33, 34. You get what I'm saying, guys? I don't think that necessarily the pushback was on the season. I think the Eagles are like, look, over the next two draft classes, we have an arsenal of picks. We have to grade and judge where we think the, reported players who are going to be available in those draft classes rank in terms of our scouting on these guys. And, we can't be left hanging dry when it's all said and done and we have two over 30-year-old corners, and now we have no solution when this finally all comes. I've said this so many times, guys. I felt like we kept deferring this decision, and there was the last couple of draft classes where I thought there was real talent at the corner position. I thought there were guys that matched some of the things and some of the attributes we have in-house internally that, yes, you would have taken a step back for a season or so, but you could have ultimately taken a major step forward by the time it came around. And we kind of kept deferring that decision until it's here. I feel like the Band-Aid's been ripped off. I feel like that decision date is going to now clearly be accelerated into this 2023 draft class. Now, what I will say is this. Can the Philadelphia Eagles still kind of bring in a veteran presence? When I say veteran presence, I mean a young vet. Byron Murphy did just sign a deal. So Byron Murphy is one of those guys that's off the table. But a name I can give you, there's a couple names out there, right? Greedy Williams is still out there. He's a 25-year-old. There's some injury history there, but I think you would take a guy like Greedy Williams in addition to a draft pick, and you're just trying to set up having three guys on the outside that you can trust to play a game. The other guy that's out there is Sean William Bunting, I believe is how you say his name, but the range, he's kind of a long, rangy corner from Tampa Bay. He's still available. He's a young guy. Anytime these guys are available, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to have something going on here to why they're available. But they're young. These are guys, I think, inside of a rotation, inside of a competition-based thing, perhaps these guys make sense. But I think we all know what's coming. I think we all know we're going to have to take a corner in this draft. Now I think the discussion becomes, are you taking that corner in the top half of the draft? We're sitting at number 10. I do think there's a real possibility that if none of the defensive linemen and none of the offensive linemen the Eagles love aren't there at number 10, I think there is a real chance that they trade backwards, and you just got to know how this Eagles team does business. But the question being is if they trade backwards and they remain in the top half, the top 16 picks, where do they fall in terms of the Christian Gonzales? Where do they fall in terms of the Devon Witherspoons, Joey Porter Jr.'s? That's going to be the conversation in the top half of the draft. I think if you're looking at the back end of the second, that's where your Cam Smiths and a lot of other names, guys. I mean, we'll do that in a separate video. I think all those names then come into play, to be quite honest. It's a parting of ways, guys. It's a new era of Eagles football out there. I do think that, we probably could use a young player, man. I definitely feel like a young player would make some sense here in terms of, getting that veteran dude that's below the age of 30 that you can kind of pair if you need that rookie corner to have some time to grow. But also projecting past when, you can't count on James Bradbury to be here when he's 34, 35 either. So, you only have James Bradbury for 2 years, maybe 3 years if things work out ideally. So, in my opinion, having that to kind of play around with makes a ton of sense. Does this lead the Eagles to getting CJ Gardner-Johnson back? I don't know. It's really difficult to navigate these waters in terms of the cap flexibility because of how much shaking and moving there is, guys. Only the Eagles front office knows the true accounting number, but it's tough, guys. I don't know. Now you got the possibility of maybe bringing Fletch back. You just signed Kelsey to that deal. We just signed Brandon Graham back. It has to do with the way that they structure the contracts, right? It's about how much money that they're putting forth in 2023, and then, with a guy like Kelsey, how many dummy years are they creating? So I can't predict the cap ability right now. I do think that if you could have restructured Slay and then restructured, the contract of like Lane Johnson, I thought there would have been plenty of money to add a CJ Gardner-Johnson at that point. But now, I don't know, guys. We'll have to wait and see. What I will say is this. The safety class is better than people think in free agency. Nasir Adderley is out there. That's a guy from the local area. That's a guy that I think played at, was a Delaware Blue Hand, if I'm not mistaken. Nasir Adderley is out there. I mean, there's some good football players out there. Will Harris played with Detroit. He's a good, kind of young veteran safety option out there. Taylor Rapp, formerly of the Rams, he's out there. He's a guy that just a year ago had 4 picks himself. There's definitely some dudes out there that can give you some production, can give you some play inside of the free agency class. So I don't know what the Eagles are going to do. If you're asking me personally, of course I would prefer CJ Gardner-Johnson back because we know that CJ Gardner-Johnson can be very productive inside the system. And we know that, there'll be some tweaks, there'll be some alterations to the system. But generally speaking, it's going to be in the same classification of the style of defense, the scheme in itself. So, I mean, that's where my personal preferences lie. But I also realize that, they're going to have to take a somewhat cautious approach. We'll see, guys. I mean, there could be a really, really quick turnaround, and we might find out that Slay's gone and CJ Gardner-Johnson's back. We'll find out, guys. I mean, it's really difficult to say if I'm going to be honest. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all's time and attention. I'll see you guys on the next video.